Hello everyone, welcome to the SS CoolDude sinking real-time sort of documentary. But yeah, this is going to be basically the real-time sinking of the SS CoolDude. I will in the description make a basically saying where the point of collision is at. But yeah, I don't have anything prepared, so this is going to be interesting. And guys, just so you know, this animation is going to be very embarrassing for us because we're kind of rushing it. I am joined by Awesome Brain X, who's going to be helping with the sound. So, okay, so, we don't need any sounds right now. But anyways, it is now around 7:58 a.m. in the morning. Okay, do that. Why? Why do you have so many tabs open? Oh. You know you didn't need to put in all of them, but okay. We're going to be starting as soon as we can get the sounds ready. Dude, just go to my oh yeah, you did go to my inventory, okay. Guys, this is gonna take a bit to set up. That's why I'm actually going to put the little time when the actual sinking starts. Because I know you guys are gonna want to actually see the sinking, because that's what this video is titled. SS CoolDude sinks real time. So anyways, hopefully this will work, and yeah, we're going to get into the timeline. So first of all, the ship is sailing in the Atlantic Ocean, and it's kind of off the coast of Ireland in 1942 at around like August or something, around that time. And there have been reports of German U-boats in the area, so the crew were keeping their eyes peeled around the sides of the ship for days now, and warning passengers that if they see anything poking out of the water, immediately tell the crew. Unfortunately, one day, on this day at around 7:59 a.m., one of these German U-boats had spotted the SS CoolDude and had fired a torpedo at it. The crew instantly noticed this and ordered hard starboard to try and prevent the torpedo from hitting, try to dodge it. Unfortunately, during this time, there was also a crew change going on, so all the watertight doors were opened. The ship would not be able to cope with this explosion afterwards. As soon as the torpedo's tip touched the hull, it detonated, blowing a huge gash in the side of the ship. The watertight doors were instantly ordered to be closed as the ship started flooding almost immediately. Passengers who were watching on the deck and hoping that they were going to dodge it had been pushed back up against the wall of the portside grand staircase area. It's a miracle that no glass was actually broken. Also, guys, just a little reminder, this is not a real ship disaster. This is made up, but I like to think that it kind of was real. So the unfortunate thing is that if the watertight doors were closed, sorry about that. That's kind of historically not accurate. Here, let me just get out my stuff quickly. Here, let me just. Yeah, we're still getting set up, guys. Yeah. There's no sounds right now being played right now, just so you know. So, yeah. Right now, the boiler rooms are flooded, and when the watertight doors were ordered to be closed, unfortunately, since the energy of the blast kind of warped the first like 3 door frames, it left the doors open. It jammed them. So they couldn't even close it in the front, and 4 compartments were now unsealed, but sealing the SS CoolDude's fate. The ship wasn't really listing at first, and passengers thought, well, maybe we'll be safe, I don't know. But unfortunately, as we probably all know, the ship was not able to cope with the explosion and sank in a short amount of time. Right now, lifeboats would start to be sort of lowering while being set up after damage reports were made and they realized that they have to get these lifeboats off the ship. So, yeah, the ship is still steaming on in hopes that they could maybe break for Ireland, but unfortunately it wouldn't make it, because Ireland wasn't too far away. I mean, it was the start of its return voyage back to the US from Ireland. So they had attempted to try and make it to Ireland. Right now, if you actually speed up the video, you're actually going to notice the ship kind of slightly moving downwards as the ship's boiler rooms and cargo rooms are open flood. Sorry for the lobby up there, I can't really change that. We probably should have recorded this in a different place. I'll tell you when to start the sounds, okay? Here. So, basically, right now the ship has a pretty big hole in it. Like, pretty big. Like, what I'd say a very big hole. So, yeah, hashtag narration too in the comments, because this is going to be a pretty big episode. This is going to be possibly one of the longest episodes we've done, other than that spy mission movie that we did a while ago. And this channel has grown since then, I can tell you that. I think the video quality on my videos has grown. That's kind of what I'm saying. As you can see, the ship is actually now starting to list a little bit towards the bow now as the ship floods. So, yeah. So, what we're seeing now is going down to the bottom decks of the SS CoolDude. Here, right now, play the Titanic sinking ambience now. Here, sorry guys, we're going to have a little delay in the sound. But as you can see, guys, there is water pouring into Scotland Road now. It's pouring in through here, from this doorway that led down into the cargo hold. Water is flooding in through this doorway, and flooding into the crew bunks right now, which is now flooding into here, which is now flooding into Scotland Road. Now, right now, the ship's good. Now there's sound. Right now, the ship is starting to rumble as, well, it's flooding. Ships make these types of noise when they sink. It is now 8 AM, and the ship's E-deck is now flooding already. So yeah, there's a lot of effects happening right now and noises coming from the interior of the ship as it begins to flood. SS CoolDude now starts listing over to Portmore. Okay, I will. And as you can see, the starboard side propeller is now starting to come out of the water a little bit, as the first starboard side lifeboat is now being launched. And actually, most of the starboard side lifeboats are actually being launched right now. This lifeboat is being launched. And now, the lifeboat is now launched, which was a fatal mistake for all the passengers inside of it, as they suddenly realized what danger they put their passengers in. And the ship moves past the lifeboat. Now guys, this is a perspective. This lifeboat is not rowing. The ship is moving past the lifeboat, and the lifeboat is completely demolished as it hits the blades. Now they're not spinning because I haven't scripted them to spin. At this time, another lifeboat was already down to D-deck. And also a third lifeboat was also starting to be lowered as this happened. And they were actually kind of being pushed against the starboard side of the ship as the water was making a port list. So right now the starboard side lifeboats are now being sort of destroyed by the propeller blades. And right now the propeller blades are still moving, which actually right there, that was, the ropes actually snapped as they tried to raise the lifeboat from here. The ropes snapped, unfortunately. And just as these lifeboats were starting to go down, just as this lifeboat's ropes were snapping, the captain ordered all stop to attempt to save this lifeboat. And fortunately, by the time the ship actually reacted, fortunately, this is where the lifeboat was. The lifeboat pushed off of the propellers as when the ship came to a stop. Now the ship was actually still kind of propelled forward because just the propeller stopped. The ship was still moving forward very slowly, but ever so slightly. This gave a chance for all the other lifeboats to be launched as the situation started to become more desperate. All the port side lifeboats are now being launched. That didn't happen, guys. That was just an error with how these are. These lifeboats are now moving away from the ship because they realize this is a pretty big ship going down and they don't want to be near it. A few lifeboats are stalled in the launching due to lack of passengers near it, so they are stalled before being launched. They are stalled so they can be filled to capacity. We've learned from the Titanic disaster, folks. The ship is actually now flooding at an increasingly big rate, and we'll actually go inside of the ship right now. to go downstairs and look at the flooding. D-Deck's second-class lounge and a few second-class cabins are now going underwater as we speak. And a boarding door is now opened to allow the next lifeboats to be filled even more, just in case. So basically, they could lower them down and then basically they could fill it more. Unfortunately, this never actually happened, and they left the door open. The ship is really starting to take on a more noticeable list to the port side, and also people below decks knew that this thing was going down. Now, we will be making a better real-time syncing eventually. It's just right now, this is the best we can do at the moment, and I really wanted to make a real-time syncing before we made the movie. So we get like an idea of what you guys get an idea of what happened that day, or that morning, basically. Finally, the last port side lifeboats are being launched. And the ropes are now cut in 3, 2, 1. See, I timed that perfectly. The lifeboat is now going to move away from the ship as they actually forgot oars. So actually they kind of basically paddled with their hands to kind of paddle it near the boarding door so they could get the oars. And that actually, that's the only time those boarding doors were actually used. And the lifeboat headed out, away from the ship. And now another lifeboat was being launched, but it was launched so quickly, they actually didn't use the boarding doors. So, yeah, the ship's going down. You can really hear the ship kind of rumbling now. It's way more obvious now that there is something. And then we have an angle from the demo that I was going to release, but the editing software that I wanted I just didn't have a really good editing software, because YouTube's editing software doesn't have text boxes. I couldn't really do it. So, yeah. I just didn't upload it, because it didn't have any commentary. It was actually pretty rough, too. And also, it didn't even have, like, the final plunge, even. It just was kind of showing from, like, the ship at this angle. Sort of. And showing kind of... And it was basically, like, that. Kind of moving around the ship. Now, the bow is more underwater, I'm gonna say that. So right now, we're seeing water actually flooding through its new entryway. The gangway doors, or boarding doors. Yeah, this will, if you guys are watching this, yay, good for you, we finally made a real-time syncing. And now, the ship actually stops listing over to port. It's actually not listing over to port anymore. Now, if you actually speed up the video, you'll actually start to notice that it actually is going down, like, now. It's, like, really going down. So you can't really notice it right now, but if you look, like, 5 minutes later, you're gonna see, oh, that thing went down. Because, well, Yeah, we're like 19 minutes into the sinking. And actually, right now, most portholes were actually closed, slowing down the sinking right now. So that's why it took longer, because they actually slowed down the sinking process right now by closing most of the portholes. So the reception room is now flooding as water continually floods in here. Now, most of the crew wasn't notified that they would be using the boarding doors, so that's why they were left open. This one was left open because most of the crew that was actually slowing down the flooding weren't even aware that that door was open until well, never, pretty much. Unless they survived and visited the wreck, then they'd go, oh. And also, some of the draining was activated too at this time to sort of try to slow down the sinking. And it actually did. It slowed down the sinking a lot. Yeah, right now the well deck is actually starting to submerge like 20 minutes since we started. Unfortunately, these portholes weren't closed in here. Also, as you know, there's that Roblox glitch. So, yeah. The forecastle deck is actually getting pretty close to the water now. The forecastle deck is the deck with the crow's nest. The sad part is that if they would have kept the engines on, they probably could have beached the ship. I mean, they had just started, like, in the early hours of that morning, too. Like, at around, like, midnight, they actually took off. So they probably could have saved the ship. But unfortunately, anything they did wouldn't have helped, probably, as the ship sank too fast. I mean, as you can see, there is water flooding into this thing. In this shot of E deck. Yeah, water is just pouring in through Scotland Road right now, and you can see it's pushing itself backwards into the ship. Yeah, some of C deck is now flooding because the bow is going under. As another compartment is starting to flood right now, the suction pumps pumping out the water are now being really overworked, and would eventually fail later on in the sinking, where they actually pretty much just can't, they stop working. They're being overloaded. I mean, the pumps were not designed to pump out as much water was coming in and how fast it was. Now we're actually going to get a pretty unique view of the well deck as it's flooding. No, I made myself invisible. Because we're invisible, so it's more like Titanic Honor and Glory's real-time sinkings. No, it's not live. I wish we could have done a live stream, but I can't really live stream. It was so much easier to do it on my phone. Like, way easier. I'm sorry, guys. It's just kind of how stupid this is. That's why we aren't going to do much live streams anymore. I'm saying that now because that is a fact. Can they even hear you? Can they even hear basically the sounds? Yeah, they can. Because it's in-game sounds. It's recording the sounds from in-game. It actually could be going over us, so sorry guys, it's kind of loud. The game is louder than we are. I may actually have this as a premiere, so guys, if this is a premiere, it's lucky for you guys to see this, because we may upload this for like a few hours, maybe take it down until we can make a better one. We may do that, unless our view count gets like really high, which I'm hoping it will. So yeah, this will be premiered tomorrow from the day we're recording this probably. So yeah. Right now, what we're seeing is actually a lifeboat attempting to be launched, but they just decided to abandon it as they thought it was going to capsize on its way down. So, they just abandoned it. They just left it, and one of the ropes just fell down. So, it's now vertically hanging on. Because the other rope wasn't even attached when they swung it out. Now, we don't have, like, swinging out well in davits. That's the best we have right now. In the future, this is gonna look way better and possibly even animated if I get Blender or something, because that's an animating software for 3D animating, and I hope it's free. I'm pretty sure it's free, but no guarantees that that'll be a thing. That's why Roblox is so good. It's a free program where you can model it. Brilliant. I'm pretty sure Blender is free. I may be making an SS CoolDude hat if you want to see that on Roblox. Yeah, can we, just don't talk about that. We're talking about the sinking of the SS CoolDude right now, as we do in a lot of videos. Also, guys, the funnel actually collapses in this. For a lot of times, I just deleted the funnel. No, in this animation, it'll actually collapse. Maybe not with the explosion. I'm gonna need help with that probably in the future, because I literally just found out how to collapse it now. And there's that distinctive huge noise that comes out. Well, it's the sound of a monster pretty much being drowned. The monster is the ship, and it's being drowned right now. Right now, though, basically what the crew are doing, they're frantically trying to save this ship. Steam is still venting, as you can see, out the funnel, but not really, as turns out that around now the funnel stops venting steam as they decide to maybe save it, because they may try to keep on doing it. Basically, the funnel stops venting because they decide that we may be able to save some steam and maybe push the ship a little more to shore later on. Now, that actually happened a while ago when the engines stopped, so the lifeboats could get out of the way, so they thought they could restart the ship. But unfortunately, they would realize that they forgot about it, and when they remembered, it was already too late. The well and forecastle deck were starting to submerge, as they were still frantically trying to push out the water that was inside of the ship through drainage pumps and etc. The forecastle deck is now starting to submerge, as you can see. This little cargo crane is pretty iconic from the Titanic thing, and it's also on like pretty much every ship that has a forward cargo hatch like that in this time era. Water is now actually flooding through these doors into sea deck. Sorry for the glass glitch, everyone. It looks like the lifeboats are just floating, but they're not. Sorry guys for the basically the C-frame tool menu over there. That's how I sync it. So it's not as good as Titanic HG's syncing animations with real time, but it's supposed to be pretty good. Because I'm actually, this is taking a while. We're a half hour into the sinking now. This is like a half hour into the sinking, and as you can see, the ship is definitely going down. The port side propeller is now starting to come out of the water, and the stern is actually clear out of the water on the starboard side, with the propeller actually coming out. Now passengers realize that this thing is going to go down pretty quickly, so they decide to get outside rather than watching the flooding to see how bad it is. Because right now D-Deck's reception room is still flooding with water through that open gangway door. And if you think the situation on E-Deck was getting better, well, you're kind of a dum-dum. Because, yeah, no offense, guys. I think no one would actually be a dum-dum, because why would you think that E-Deck would ever be okay in this sinking? I don't think anyone would, but if you did, I'm sorry. But also, the pool is completely fine right now. I mean, there still is hope that the ship may stay afloat for a little longer, so rescue can come, but unfortunately, due to the explosion, fumes that were like extremely strong and hot actually raised out of the funnel and actually burnt the telegraph wire in half. So they couldn't really receive or send messages that far, so they didn't have a lot of ships coming. Only ships that were kind of in the range of the telegraph, and also the power dimming does not help, as the power is really struggling to stay on at this point. Most of the engineer staff are still in the ship, unaware that the bow is flooding. They're thinking that it's still sort of not sinking as much, and they have no idea that the bow is almost completely underwater. They're keeping the power on, and when the grand staircase sky dome is flooding, that's like when water is seeping up onto the sky dome. That is when they come out of the ship and then they see that the whole entire bow is completely underwater, along with the bridge and most of the boat deck. So they just leap off of the ship. They just leap off and go, "Oh no!" Because this thing is really starting to go down, as you can see. And we're like only 32 minutes into it. This is really fast sinking. When you actually are experiencing it instead of recording it, it actually could probably go fast. Especially like, yeah. What? If anyone else joins the game, kick them. Okay? I'm giving you that power. Kick them. You have admins, so you can kick them. So please do that, and just after kick them, put like the reason saying do not rejoin because we're filming a real-time sinking of the SS CoolDude, so. Now, will this game be a real-time sinking? Maybe. We may actually code it to be real-time, but that's probably not going to happen. I don't know. Wow, the ship is really rumbling now, as the bow is actually starting to submerge. The ship actually takes a really downward dip underwater right now. Just do invisible all command so they don't show up while we're recording. Here. I'm just gonna pick, you know what, nah, it's fine. Yeah, invisible them. Here, maybe, okay. I am recording a vid. Do not rejoin. There you go. Yeah. Basically, right now, the ship is sinking. I'm sorry for that slight interruption. This is what happens when the game is This is what happens when the game is slightly public. I was thinking of actually making it completely private other than Braden, but nah, we don't need that. And then now I'm regretting it, so maybe we did need that. So in a half hour from now, this entire thing is going to be underwater completely, pretty much. In like a half hour, pretty much, from now. It already is on server lock, dude. I'm actually going to S lock again. I'm gonna unadmin all, by the way. Unadmin all. Now I'm gonna admin you. Admin. There you go. You should probably be able to, yeah, you have admin still though, because I just re-admined you. It's just so no one can join now. Because there was kind of a glitch where admin all. So, yeah. So, pretty much anyone can rejoin after being kicked. Even if S-Lock is on, too. When you look at the ship from the starboard side, it looks so unrealistic. But really, it is kind of realistic. It's just that's kind of how it looks like. The bow actually suddenly takes a pretty big dip downwards right now, as weight suddenly shifted in the ship, causing the ship to kind of lower into the water a bit. So that's kind of what happened just now. And the ship's B deck is now flooding through the balcony door. C deck is gone. Well, gonna be gone. E deck is gone, like actually gone now. Except for areas in the stern. Probably those are safe. The pool is now starting to flood. Pretty much everything in the bow that's under B deck is gone right now. That's pretty much what's happening right now. Now this is the most accurate recreation of the sinking I can give you guys, so please be happy with it. This takes a lot of time to create, because it takes an hour to create, because the ship sank in around an hour. Well, maybe not the 5 minutes, but yeah, we'll see. But yeah, this is going to be the actually real-time sinking demonstration. This was going to take a while. I knew this was going to take a while, but I want to do it for you guys because it's something I wanted to do, even though it may take a while. So, yeah. Enough chit-chat with why I wanted to make this. Let's get into the narration again. So, right now, most of the bridge officers are now reattempting the try at launching this boat. And they actually successfully launch it as the ship is sinking beneath them. In around like 20 minutes from now, like the boat deck is going to be underwater, probably. And since the lifeboat has no one on it, as they're all starting to run to the stern, as they see the power is starting to die a little more. Oh, this is a perfect screenshot for the video, so I'm definitely going to take a screenshot of the video right here. This is going to be like wait, no, how about like around here? Wait, I actually really want to get it from like a view of one of the lifeboats, so maybe from around this view. Yeah, this looks like a good view. Here, let's get into the lifeboat quickly. Okay, yeah, this is an extremely good view. I'm gonna stay in this position for a bit. Guys, take a screenshot of this. This is the official thumbnail for this that you're probably seeing. Wait, is the sea? Okay, I'm glad that I stayed there for a while. It just spazzed out. This is why I probably should have made more sturdy lifeboats. Now, the ship is actually really going down now. We're 40 minutes into the sinking now, I'm pretty sure. Around 40 minutes. So, yeah. Yeah, kick them. Here, I'm actually gonna unmod too. All admin. Sorry guys, I'm just gonna be doing this quickly. And now on VIP all. Here, kick all again. Wait, no, don't kick all. Yeah. Just kick the user quickly. And also admin. Here, I'm just making sure this will work. Here, kick them. Sorry guys, this is sort of a problem with Roblox, and it's kind of my fault, to be honest. Sorry. We're gonna get more on board shots now. So we're gonna... I actually kind of want to get more on board shots and not just exterior shots of the sinking. You don't even have to go down that far into the ship anymore to see water flooding it. I'm actually going to get a shot from the dining room because that's not... You don't really see, like the real-time videos showing a shot in the dining rooms. So, yeah. It's a very silent video, guys. Well, not really, when there's commentary, but if I were to do the original plans where there's no commentary, yeah, this would be way quieter. As you can see, the ship is actually really starting to go down. And actually, every time it goes down a little bit, since we're like really zoomed in on the object right next to us, like the wall, you can actually see it shake as it goes down a bit. Now, if you speed up the video right now, you would actually see the ship actually going down pretty fast. Okay, enough interior shot of that now. That's only on C deck? Oh, okay, yeah, B deck is not looking pretty. Okay, get back in. Okay, everyone, the ship is actually really going down. I know I've already said this, but... takes another kind of downwards plunge now due to another weight shift, so now it's really going down. This is actually longer than our other video that we did on sinking of the SS CoolDude. This is officially the longest video we've actually done on sinking of the SS CoolDude now. It's been 43 minutes. It really goes by fast when you're recording it, actually. Oh, you're leaving quickly? Okay. Yeah, okay. Brayden will be rejoining us quickly. He just has to go take care of some business. We're like around 40 minutes into the sinking right now. So, yeah. Not a very good place to be. The ship is definitely not as safe as it used to be now, as you can see. Not a lot of people are still on the ship right now. Because there weren't nearly enough lifeboats. The ship was going to have more than it sailed with, but unfortunately they weren't applied in time. So yeah. as the power dims, the telegraph doesn't function anymore. This doesn't function anymore. The wireless room is now abandoned, as there's no way they can send out distress messages anymore. Only one ship actually responded, and it was actually the SS CoolDude's tender ship that was in the area, because the ship had apparently gone missing. Because they realized, we're not getting anything from the SS CoolDude. So the tender ship set out, and they got there in like about an hour after the ship had actually sank. Because they started going at like around the same time that they started not getting distress messages from it. At the time where they weren't getting any messages, as they were actually in communication with them. And since it was like right out of the range, like about a mile out of the range, when the ship's wireless thing broke, yeah, basically the telegraph just couldn't reach as far. So yeah, B deck is now going. Actually, parts of B deck are now completely submerged. Oh, you're back? Oh, good. We're seeing a lot of water in the ship. Like, now D deck is gone. That is not good. And also, B deck is almost completely gone too. The ship is really starting to pick up and accelerating downwards as water keeps flooding in. Many people are running in through this lounge and running and smashing open these doors. Like, since they close every time, like every time someone runs out, they just both open up like all the way and then close, and it makes a really loud noise when they do that. And they're all starting to gather here. Now, we don't have people in this animation, but when we do the movie, you're gonna see people actually starting to gather there and running up the boat deck. Yeah, Brayden will be in the movie. We'll have to give out the roles because there's going to be characters. So yeah, this ship is really starting to sink further into the Atlantic Ocean now. I mean, it's pretty much, it's basically being consumed by the ocean now. It's like, the ocean's like, nom 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 to it. Now, the ship kind of shakes a little bit right now. A little bit, too, right now. And if you speed up the video, you'll actually see how the ship kind of shakes. That is a result of a boiler actually exploding. Now, it's very hard. It would be very hard to hear, so we just didn't add the noise of a boiler exploding at this time, because it would be very hard to hear, as it's going to be like hundreds of feet below the waterline, pretty much. Also, as you can see, here's that boarding door that was completely left open. Yeah, whoever opened the boarding door was kind of an idiot. And the only reason they didn't go back down to check if it was open or not, because the crew member that actually opened it thought someone else went down there and closed it. And they didn't get onto a lifeboat to command it. So, they didn't realize this. Now you can actually really start to hear like, noises kind of getting louder. So yeah, you have this huge ocean liner that's sinking into the ocean now, with about like 900 people on board right now. There were only like around 1,000 passengers and crew combined. So this ship was carrying a lot of people. And it was actually going to have more, but the only problem was that it arrived actually a day late. So, yeah. Because they actually encountered a storm on their way over to Ireland, which slowed them down a day. So they arrived a day late, so not a lot of people actually boarded the ship. Which is kind of fortunate, but also kind of unfortunate that those people still went on. Because it was going to return. Yeah, the bridge wing is now actually going underwater. 15 minutes, like around 15 minutes into this sinking, the bridge is now gone. The ship is actually really speeding up the sinking process, and actually right now, the ship's power actually is lost for a few seconds. So here, let's actually get an interior shot of this. Well, you're kind of watching, so yeah. So basically, the power is lost for a few seconds, and this really starts to scare passengers as the ship starts. And actually, the lights did not get that bright again. Like, the lights did not come back fully. I mean, they dimmed. They went out, and when the electricians regained power to the ship, they couldn't regain it as much as there was. So the power is actually not as strong as it was before. So we're seeing the ship kind of, the lighting actually getting a bit more orangish as there's not enough electricity to give it that warm glow. Oh no! Now again, the ship kind of takes a little dip underwater from most of the weight shifts are actually from furniture crashing towards the bow. The ship sank level. So, yeah. Well, it sank almost level. Around now, Collapsable A, which is on the port side, is now pushed off the roof of the bridge at this time now, and lands upside down, and is pushed out into the water. But Collapsable B, which is on this side, is actually pushed out and actually slid off the bridge. Oh wait, no, maybe not. Here, I'm seeing if I can actually get it unanchored now. Is it unanchored now? Yes, it's unanchored. Sorry. Sorry, everyone, that didn't happen. I just kind of wanted to make an excuse for that not working. Get the, here, what I need next, here, I'll tell you the, because that's going to be, like when the ship is actually really going down, like, yeah. And the Collapsable B was pushed off the roof of the bridge and now pushed away from the ship as people climbed onto it. It was then rowed away from the ship, and it didn't really get that far away from the ship. Well, it did, sort of. And, yeah, the only reason they actually reattempted to launch that other lifeboat was because they're like, well, that is extra flotation, I guess. That's what the crew were like. Because, well, they just couldn't, they didn't know how long they were going to be stranded there. Yeah, we will eventually turn off server lock. The only reason I turned on server lock is because we're doing kind of a silent thing. Collapsable A is finally pushed off the roof upside down and is then flipped over by crew using oars and stuff, and the lifeboat supplies. The lifeboat is then moved away from the ship with people on it. It wasn't really full because they couldn't really fill it to capacity or else it may flip, as these lifeboats, the collapsible lifeboats, weren't as, what I'd say, sturdy. Right now the bridge is being abandoned as water is lapping up onto it. Now the captain doesn't leave until the bridge is actually submerging. He like stays right here until it's impossible to stay in the ship without. Yeah, basically he slips and falls into the water and he can't even get back onto the ship because it's actually sinking way too fast now. It's sinking faster than before now because the boat deck is now sinking. Around now, the electricians finally arrive on the deck, and to their shock, the boat deck is awash and the bow completely gone. They basically they go to this stab it, check for anything under, and just jump off and just start jumping off of the ship. This would be a very poor choice to do though, because as water is now flooding in way faster now, the ship is actually creating a suction, pulling people down with it. Now, it's not as strong right now, but when the funnel actually collapses, it actually creates a way stronger suction as, well, it's flooding in like the aft compartments. Now, the power remains on for a little bit, even though the generator room is completely abandoned. Now, the power stays on for a bit longer. Don't get me wrong, it stays on for a bit longer, but not as long as it could have stayed on if they would have stayed in. But it didn't really matter at this point, because even if they stayed in there for what, some of the electricians did actually survive. They actually survived. Right now, water is flooding into the A deck from the promenade deck. And it's hard to walk down up the stairs on the stern now, as water has flooded the ship that much that it's at that angle. Now the ship isn't designed to be at this angle, but thanks to a few more expansion joints, thanks to some expansion joints, the ship didn't actually split in half. It was way stronger as it had reinforced steel, which was a result of other shipwrecks happening, so it was harder for the ship to actually basically split. The deck was far too strong to split, and the expansion joints helped that. Now the ship's power is dimming way further now, and people are really starting to panic. Here, play the sound now, because the sinking mechanic. Here, get the sound in quickly. I can't do the sound because when I exit out, it just stops the video. So yeah, this is sort of kind of a mini documentary on the sinking as well. So yay! The ship starts to basically have its final plunge now, around now. Just do Control V. No, just put a space in. Yeah, there we go. The ship is now sinking pretty fast now, and there are still many people on board. There's like way more people. And now the panic is really starting as the power is almost gone. But it's around now that the power is officially gone. It just blacks out. It doesn't even flicker, it just blacks out. And also, we don't have an explosion noise for the funnel exploding. And I don't think that's why we're not going to leave this video up for that long, I don't think. Until maybe we'll just take this video down when we make a better sinking real time. So yeah, the ship is actually really at a high angle now, and people are falling down the deck. Like, this is how high it was. It kind of settles back a little bit, and people are falling from this, and some people are just clinging to this, to the boarding bridge, I think this is called. I don't know, but they're just clinging to this, and a lot of people actually trip and fall down here and are now stuck on the superstructure. Now the ship does settle back a little bit because it did kind of jerk, but it does settle back a little bit. Like now, the ship actually does kind of settle back a little bit. Actually a picture by me was actually made when the ship was at this angle. Like around this time too. And you can just really see the extent of how many people were on board. There's still like 9,000 people, or I mean not 9,000, but 900 people on board this sinking ship. And now, here, I'm gonna turn my phone's volume down quickly because that's really loud. So yeah, and now we're 1 hour into the sinking. And right now, all that pressure from when the engines have stopped are just becoming way too strong for the funnel. And actually, it causes a massive explosion. So basically, here, let's go into the, so basically what we're seeing here is fire being exploded out of the funnel. Here, I'm just making it bigger. That's as good as we can make it. And then the funnel just, it collapses onto its side pretty much as water starts to lap it. Here, kind of just collapses onto its side in all honesty. And it just falls onto passengers. Actually, the davits, actually, the funnel, I think they're called like, oh yeah, the funnel stays actually hang on for a little bit, but they eventually snap, and the force of them snapping actually is really great. And actually, some people were really injured. And they would likely not survive. Or now water is now flooding extremely fast into the last boiler room available, and that causes the ship to just go vertical, and now there's an extremely strong suction. And the ship stays up for a bit longer now like this. The ship is now almost vertical, and the only thing that's saving the ship is, remember when a lot of the portholes were closed? It was hot that day. It was a warm August day, and at around this, and when they closed the portholes, they actually saved the ship around 5 minutes. If they would have been open, the ship would already be gone. But the ship actually now stays up until 5 minutes after it goes vertical. So, in 8 minutes from now, well, not really 8 minutes, but once I see, basically the ship stays up longer, and people they're just falling off. Because not a lot of people actually were on the stern, but a few people actually, since they were on the inside, but as the ship was starting to go vertical when the funnel exploded, they actually cling to the side of the railing. They kind of swung out onto the other side and just climbed the railing to the basically edge right here. The ship stays like this for a bit, and since this is the real-time sinking, it's going to stay like this for 5 minutes. This is the actual real-time sinking ship, so it's going to stay like this for a bit. I mean, it's because all of these portholes, they're closed. Almost all of these around here are closed. There's still air inside the closed. Roblox physics, that's not possible. But that's why the ship is actually like this for a bit. And you can really see that it actually saves the ship a little bit, but nothing can make up for this, because, well, not really that those words are the correct terms, but eventually nothing could really save this ship after it started to go down, because eventually at around this time the portholes crack open, flooding in water into the ship, even adding to how strong the suction was. Now, right now, the ship finally kind of went vertical. It kind of settled back, but then went vertical, and now it heads down. Air is now blowing out of the windows because it's a lot of pressure against the ship. It's really strong. The air is being pushed out, and some of the portholes are bursting open because of this. And now the ship is going underwater. It kind of bobs right here, at around this area, and then heads down. Now when she went down pretty fast. When the final plunge happened, it went down extremely fast. And I'm just going to speed it up by just using this. It'll actually pull down the lifeboats. That is not intended. It wouldn't pull down the lifeboats. The suction wasn't that strong. But yeah. The ship pulls down passengers with it. And leaves only lifeboats and a few deck chairs that were on it. And any passengers in the water were actually pulled down. But a few of them actually were able to make it out of the water. Over 500... Okay, stop the music, or I can do that. Which one? Oh, there's no more music now. Right now, only lifeboats and deck chairs remain. And in an hour from now, the SS Victoria, SS CoolDude's tender ship would arrive. So, yeah. And guys, that was the real-time sinking of the SS CoolDude. If you want to see a better version, like this video, because that shows that you guys want a better version. And if you guys enjoyed this and want to see more real-time sinkings, if you want to, you can hit the subscribe button and we may make more. But that is not guaranteed, but we will try to make more. Anyways, guys, I'll see you in the next video, and goodbye. That was a real-time sinking. This took a lot of time to create.